Hello, Christopher here, and welcome back to the Patriot Report. When most people think about trials and the Constitution, they usually think of criminal cases, someone accused of a crime facing a judge and jury. But what about disputes between private citizens? What about lawsuits over contracts, property, or personal injury? That's where the Seventh Amendment comes in. It might not make headlines, but it's one of the most overlooked foundations of liberty in the American legal system. It guarantees that even in civil cases, where no one is going to jail but important rights are still at stake, the people, not just the government, have the final say. Let's start with what the text actually says. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States, than according to the rules of the common law. It's just one sentence, but it carries centuries of meaning and protection. To understand it, let's break it into two parts. The right to a jury trial in civil cases. The first half of the amendment says that in suits at common law, where the value in controversy exceeds $20, the right to a trial by jury shall be preserved. In plain English, if two parties are having a civil dispute, let's say about a contract, land, or damages from a car accident, and the amount involved is more than a token sum, you have the right to have that case heard by a jury of ordinary citizens, not just a judge. Why this matters in a constitutional republic. The idea here is simple but powerful: the people decide. Not just government officials. Not just professional judges. When citizens serve on juries, they act as a check on the legal system and ensure that justice reflects the values of the community. The founders knew from experience under British rule that relying solely on appointed judges could lead to injustice, especially when those judges answered to the crown. By guaranteeing jury trials in civil cases, they preserved a long-standing English tradition and made sure that even civil justice stayed in the hands of the people. No re-examining jury verdicts except by law. The second half of the amendment is just as important. It says that no fact tried by a jury shall be re-examined in any U.S. court except according to the rules of common law. This means that once a jury decides the facts of a case, who did what, who's at fault, how much someone is owed, that decision stands. A judge or higher court can't just override it because they don't like the outcome. They can review legal errors, but they can't second-guess the jury's judgment on the facts without a valid legal reason. Why this matters? This prevents judges or government officials from quietly overturning jury decisions behind the scenes. It's one more way the Constitution ensures that power stays close to the people. In a constitutional republic, government exists to serve the people, not to overrule them. Historical roots. Why did the founders care so much? The right to a jury trial wasn't something the founders invented, it was something they demanded be protected. In colonial America, British authorities often denied jury trials in civil cases, especially when it suited the Crown's financial or political interests. The Declaration of Independence even lists this as one of the King's abuses, for depriving us in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury. The founders believed that a fair, self-governing society required the people to participate directly in the justice system. Jury service was one of the most democratic acts a citizen could perform, where your voice, your reason, and your conscience could protect someone else's rights. Why is the Seventh Amendment still important today? Some people might look at the Seventh Amendment and think, well, that was written for a different time. But in truth, it's more relevant now than ever. Civil cases today deal with high-stakes issues: corporate accountability, property rights, medical malpractice, workplace discrimination, and more. In these situations, Access to a jury of your peers levels the playing field between powerful interests and individual citizens. Without it, judges, who may be politically appointed or heavily influenced by legal institutions, would have unchecked power to decide civil disputes. That's not what the founders intended, and it's not how a republic is meant to function. The Seventh Amendment reinforces a central theme of the Constitution: the people are the guardians of liberty. It ensures that even outside of criminal law, the public continues to have a role in holding others accountable, resolving disputes, and upholding justice. Limitations and modern challenges. While the amendment is powerful, it's also narrowly defined. It only applies to federal civil cases, not state cases, unless the state constitution or laws provide similar protections. And over time, courts have narrowed its application by raising thresholds for what counts as a common law case. Still, its principles live on in many state systems and in the broader expectation that important decisions affecting people's lives deserve a jury's input. Modern court reforms and arbitration clauses in contracts can sometimes work around jury trials, which raises real concerns. That's why understanding the spirit of the Seventh Amendment is so important, because it reminds us that justice should never become a closed-door process for elites only. The Seventh Amendment is a quiet but powerful part of our Constitution. It protects the right of citizens to have their voices heard in civil disputes and prevents the government from concentrating too much power in the hands of judges or institutions. It reminds us that justice belongs not just to the courts, but to the people. In a constitutional republic, that's not a detail, it's the design. Let us remember that preserving liberty doesn't just happen in grand speeches or at the ballot box. Sometimes, it happens in a quiet courtroom, where ordinary citizens sit in judgment, listen carefully, and speak the final word on justice. Thanks for listening. I'm Christopher, and this has been the Patriot Report. Stay informed, stay free,